Hey guys, so I'm sure we've all heard about the extremely tall elephant in the mildly claustrophobic room that is the comedy special Inside by Bo Burnham. But before we get into the now, we need to address the beginning. So in this video, I will be going over Bo Burnham's background and road to what led him to creating Inside, and the sheer impact it's had on recent pop culture. I'm sure most of you are aware of the many inside references, and you cannot go onto any social media platform without seeing one. I know TikTok has literally been infiltrated by inside. I'm not complaining. It's welcomed. It's welcomed if you ask me. Also in this video, I will be going over several points all the way from Bo's childhood to now, obviously with Inside. So if one topic interests you more than the other, please feel free to go to the description box down below, as I have created different timestamps for each topic throughout the video. So if one topic interests you more than the other, please feel free to skip around if you would like, or just sit back, relax, and enjoy the entire video, because I assure you this is going to be a very lengthy one. So please enjoy this deep dive into Bo's road to Inside. And side note, before we get started, I'm going to be doing my makeup so that I'm not just staring into a camera blankly the entire time talking my dumb head off. So let's get into it. Bo was born Robert Pickering Burnham in Massachusetts on August 21st, 1990. That is making him a Virgo, so my astrology bitches, do with that information as you will. Bo is actually the baby of his family with two older brothers. And Bo has always had a love for performance. Um, Ever since he was a child, at only 3 years old, he created these little skits that he would like to do for his family called Bo's Shows, which I think is so adorable. Like, that's so cute. Bo's Shows. Adorable. Also, I wanted to insert some baby photos, but there were like not that many of them circulating online, which I totally understand and I respect his privacy, but I was able to find some from his Instagram from a few years ago. I mean, this one is of him with chicken pox, so I'm putting out there what I can, all right? Bear with me. Bo has been described as the lovable yet annoyingly hilarious kid that everyone has in their class. According to Bo's New Yorker interview from 2018, he was described as the token theater kid that every friend group has. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I know I was my friend group's token theater kid at one point, so I could feel his pain. And side note, in this same interview, Bo confided in a friend when he was in 8th grade that his career aspirations consisted of becoming a comedian and a pastor, which if you look at Bo's anything that he's ever said, that sounds like really interesting that at one point those were like his options. And I think that's just really interesting as we've seen him like progress and grow and what his comedy is all about. So I think that's just an interesting point to add. Now we transition into Bo's early YouTube days. On December 21st, 2006, Bo uploads his first YouTube video called My Whole Family. The video is basically a hilarious skit about how his family thinks he is gay. The song is basically a fun little poke at his family's speculation of his sexuality. When Bo was only 16, he had already kind of made himself a name on the internet, and that was actually like unheard of in 2006. Like, that was brand new information. Like, it had never really been done before, honestly. This was sort of the era where going viral was like a new thing, and if you went viral, that meant your video had like 10,000 views, and that was huge. For Bo, this was a bit of a different situation because he didn't have just 10,000 views. He had 250,000 views on his first YouTube video the same day he uploaded it, which again is crazy talk for 2006. YouTube had literally just been created a year prior, so nobody really understood what it was. It wasn't what it's like today where kids are like, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up. That wasn't a thing. If you said you did YouTube, people would be like, what is that? What do you mean? You know, it wasn't really the social media platform it is today. Bo had basically already started his career at just 16, but again, YouTube wasn't a big thing. He didn't create the video, My Whole Family, to get views or get any type of recognition because back then the website looked like this. He wasn't necessarily expecting to become an internet sensation. Though this YouTube video led him to his other successes throughout his career, he initially didn't post it for a larger audience. According to an insider interview, Bo said, quote, I definitely didn't put it up there as like, this is my ticket out of this town. I had written these songs and I wanted to show them to my older brother who was at college at the time. So again, I'm gonna reiterate this. In 2006, YouTube was literally a brand new thing. It was a new concept and people didn't use it to get famous like how they do now. It was used more as a hub to archive personal home videos to send to friends and family that could easily access it without having to put the home videos onto tape and DVD and physically send them a copy like how you did in like the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001, you know? But again, I think it's like really crazy how the kids born in 2012, the really little kids under 10, how they idolize these YouTubers now and they're like, oh, I want to be like that. That's gonna be my job, you know? Like, I want that job. Back when I was a kid, it was like a brand new thing and it's not where everybody knows what it is. Like your 80-year-old neighbor knows what YouTube is now. Back then they'd be like, you what? What is that? You know? But I actually gained internet access right around 2007 when YouTube was still a pretty new thing, hopping on to watch a new Key of Awesome and Jeffrey Dallas video. So if you know those creators, then we're all dying. Alright, sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent there. I'll get right back on track. So back to his first video. After releasing it initially, Bo had gained this very fast incline of viewers, basically like an audience to actually hear what he had to say and hear his comedy. And that was like really weird for him. I'm sure it would be weird for literally anybody, even now that we have access to these things and it's so popularized. I'm sure now any normal 16-year-old would be like, what the fuck? This is crazy talk, you know? All these people actually give a shit and they want to listen to what I have to say. I know that would definitely be my reaction. Then his videos started circulating around his high school, which I might add was a private Catholic school, private boys Catholic school. Everybody started seeing them, word got around, and even the teachers knew about it. In Bo's New Yorker interview from 2018, he remembers a teacher coming up to him and saying, quote, I've got a challenge for you. Stop posting those videos. All I gotta say is that that teacher was obviously very jealous and dissatisfied with their own life that they had to literally go up to a child and tell them to stop posting those videos. We see your insecurity, bitch. Sorry about that. Had a little rage inside of me crawl out there for a bit. During Bo's senior year, he had been accepted to, like, I don't know if you've heard them, like, little, you know, little quaint universities like Harvard and NYU, little universities, you know. But at the same time, he had also been contacted by a talent agent that wanted to work with him, you know, get him some gigs, get him a tour, get him an album, like wanted to start his career already. And keep in mind, he was only 17 during this time and had only uploaded a handful of skits onto YouTube. So it was a pretty big deal that somebody was already contacting him. Like, hey, let's get on the ball, let's start your career, basically. So instead of Bo going to college, so initially, when he had both the colleges asking for him and the talent agent asking for him, he almost went to NYU for their specialized art program. But he gave it a second thought and decided that he wanted to do stand up as his full time job at only 17 years old. So when Bo graduated in 2008, he decided to start working on his first EP, with Comedy Central Records titled Bofo Show. So instead of going to college, he ended up touring that album and started working up his girl boss career. Though Bo did occasionally post YouTube videos during this time, after his graduation in 2008, he primarily focused on his stand-up and live comedy career during this time. After the release of Bo for Show, Bo started working on a new comedy album, which was a self-titled full-length album that he did with Comedy Central Records. One of the promotion gigs that he did for this album was an appearance on the show Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. All I can find is this one screenshot from the entire performance. I cannot find a single clip of it. Like, I don't even know what song he did on there. It's really hard to find this information for some reason, and I can't even figure out which episode he appeared on. Like, I've been trying to look for it. So if any of you have like a link or any information as to where I could find it, maybe the episode number, maybe I skimmed it while I was researching, but just let me know because I would really like to see this performance because it was his first ever TV performance. I would like to see it. Then at only 18 years old, Bo was the youngest comedian to be featured on Comedy Central's Presents. And the set was pretty short. It was only like 20 minutes, but it was still interesting to watch a young Bo go on stage because he looked so proud of himself. Like, be there to tell himself, I'm doing this, at only 18. That's a lot to accomplish, and he just looks really proud in that clip, so recommend watching it. Also, quick side note, for this section, I want to skip ahead a little bit. I know I'm messing up the continuity, but hear me out. I want to keep all of his TV appearances into one section for reference, so let's fast forward to 2013 real quick. So 2013 rolls around, and Bo is picked up by MTV to do his own little rendition of a mockumentary, which is called Zach Stone.
Zach Stone is gonna be famous. Zach Stone is gonna be famous.
Zach Stone. Zach Stone. Yeah, I guess I'm a fan. You could say that. You could say that I'm a fan, even though that would be a major ass understatement. I love that show. Okay, I gotta calm down. So yeah. In 2013, Bo brings Zach Stone to life. And if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. What are you doing watching this video? Literally stop what you're doing, go watch it, come back, thank me when you come back, alright? So a brief synopsis of the show is that it's basically about a kid that's in limbo between high school and adult life, trying to transition out of that weird, yucky little situation, right? We've all been there. And his character is pressured by his family to become the sensible person and go to college instead of fulfilling his dreams of being famous for literally whatever and however. He doesn't care what he does. He just wants to be famous. But yeah, I love the show. It's one of my favorite Bo projects ever. Like, definitely top 5. It's really funny. And again, if you haven't watched it, stop watching this video, go watch it, come back to the video, comment. Thank you, Alicia. You are the smartest person in the world for recommending this show to me. Compliments to the chef. You're welcome. Also, another fun television tidbit for you. Bo had a short yet very memorable character, in my opinion, on the show Parks and Recreation. In 2014, he played the diva country star Chip McCap, who was famous for his one-hit wonder, Beautiful Like My Mom. So if you haven't seen that episode, go watch it. It's literally for free. Go watch that one clip on YouTube and then live your happy life after that. I don't know, do whatever you want. Back to our regularly scheduled timeline. So this is when these specials start rolling around. In 2010, Bo started working on his first full-length live special titled Words, Words, Words. And this was another huge accomplishment for Bo. According to Insider, shortly after Bo's 20th birthday, he performed for a huge audience at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, which, if you don't know, is a really big deal, and it's a huge event where people perform their specials and, their comedy special. And this performance actually led him to leading the list for that festival's comedy award show in 2010. Shortly afterwards, we get what? Another one of his comedy specials from that era. The special was released in December of 2013. In a Reddit Ask Me Anything from 2013, Bo shared that what took him 3 years to conceptualize. He also decided to make what for free on YouTube because he said in this Ask Me Anything post, it took so long to make and it was something different than I've done before. I really just wanted it to be an easy to find and watch as possible. I think that's super cool because I remember him saying in an interview, I can't remember which one, I remember him saying that he wanted that comedy special to be free because he said that he didn't really like how people had to pay for a subscription to just watch one comedy special if they didn't have Netflix for some reason, because back then Netflix wasn't a huge thing like how it is today. So Bo wanted to be as accessible as possible, so for people that weren't Netflix subscribers, they can just hop onto YouTube and watch it for free. Short sidebar. In between Bo doing what and also working on another comedy special, he was also gaining popularity on Vine. From 2013 to 2014, Bo had created a rather large following for himself on the app and birthed a classic Vine such as this.
Is there anything better than pussy? Yes, a really good book.
Next, we have Make Happy, which was a Netflix special. Make Happy was kind of what I believe is the setup for what was to come, not only in his specials, but his film debut as well, and I'll get into that into a bit. Now, I'm sure we're all aware of the huge gap between Make Happy and Inside. I did find this little grasp of an explanation from an Ask Me Anything from his Make Happy post. Someone asked Bo, there seems to be a lot of speculation that Make Happy, especially the ending, hinted that you're potentially putting Stand Up to bed for a while. Is there any truth to the speculation? Bo replies, definitely going to take some time off for a while. I'm a little tired of myself and I'd love to write things for other people. The sort of goodbye ending of the special has much heavier reasons for wanting to leave, which are a portion of, but not the whole reason. Which, my speculation for the heavier reasons are due to the overwhelming and debilitating anxiety attacks Bo would have on stage during his performances.
And then it really, when I was 23, I had my first panic attack on stage. And
Really?
that was like, oh shit.
How did the show continue?
It continued. I've had
You pushed through it.
yeah, I've had about 10 on stage and
Shit. What happens in that moment? Do you become like very self-aware?
tunnel
That's
vision,
kind of-
like tunnel vision, and then like, numb body, and then just a total like out of body feeling. And what's so weird about it is that it's happening within the structure of a show that is written
About that.
but to the word, you know what I mean? So it's
right,
like
right.
I can't even like go, oh, I'm feeling it. Like I have to like say, so it ends up like I'm in Groundhog's Day and I have a script that I have to keep to. So I have this inner monologue freaking out, and then I'm having to perform
But
a show.
you found that you're able to
Then, of course, after Make Happy, he said that he wanted to stop doing live comedy and wanted to focus mostly on behind the camera stuff like directing and writing. One notable special that Bo worked on was for Chris Rock's Tambourine special that he did. Bo was the director for this special. Bo also had a minor role in the movie The Big Sick that came out in 2017, which is an interesting take based off of true stories of, up and coming comedians. Next kicks off another very notable moment in Bo's life, which is his first ever film that he wrote and directed himself, 8th Grade, that was released in 2018. 8th Grade is a very real take on many Gen Z's middle school career. There were so many parts in that movie where I was like, wow, I've literally never had an original experience in my life, have I? And I'm sure many of you could agree. It was almost like he read my 8th grade diary and was like, write that down when he was making the movie. So I applaud him for that. This ties in with an earlier thought that I had quoted from Bo earlier regarding his anxiety. Bo initially didn't want to create like a coming of age movie. He mostly wanted to make a movie regarding anxiety. I mean, he didn't intend to write a story about a lonely teen going through the highs and lows of growing up, but he initially wanted to just encapsulate what anxiety is and what it's like living with it at such a young age, which he did an incredible job by personifying the feeling into a 14-year-old girl named Kayla. I feel like with the movie, it really made me open up my eyes and made me realize, like, yeah, middle school was dog shit and it was one of the worst times of my life, but those experiences are very universal. So it made me feel like I wasn't alone in remembering those experiences and the trauma that came from it. It just makes me feel, yeah, other people know exactly what you went through. And it just feels like a sense of community. Also, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to give a spoiler. So fast forward to this time if you want to be spared. Now that the losers are out. Am I right, guys? Okay, anyways. So the part where she's alone in the car with the older boy and he starts to try to put the moves onto her and she like panics as she should and tells him stop was very reminiscent of what I went through in middle school. It's like a taboo situation and not a lot of people talk about that. So I do appreciate Bo for putting something so real and serious into the film because as we know, most coming of age films glaze over the real loss of innocence during this transformation from child to teenager. So I appreciate that he did throw that in there. Though the movie did not receive any Oscars or anything like that, it was honored as it should at the Writers Guild and Directors Guild of America Awards, which hell yeah, bitch. Hell yeah. Before I get into inside, before I get into the real meat and potatoes of this video, I need to acknowledge his role in Promising Young Woman. In 2019, production started for Promising Young Woman, which starred Carey Mulligan as the lead and Bo as her love interest. The movie was set to debut in early 2020, but y'all know what happened there. So it was rescheduled to be released in December of 2020. The film was greeted with rave reviews and was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, but it ended up winning an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, which of course is a very huge accomplishment. As we're all aware, Bo said in Inside that he initially wanted to make a comeback to his roots in stand up, but the hellfire that was 2020 erupted right in our faces and halted this plan. But maybe 2020 was a blessing in disguise. This is something that I tell myself to feel better, anyways. But seriously, there was some light to shine at the end of the long and winding road that was 2020, which brought the creative genius of Inside to life. Inside picks up right where we've been waiting for Bo since Make Happy in 2016. Bo returns to the house that he departed from at the end of Make Happy, and he encapsulates what we've all been feeling for about a year and a half at this point. Bo manages to capture the true feelings of insomnia, anxiety, and claustrophobia within the special, but at the same time making us feel reminiscent and nostalgic for life prior to COVID. Some standouts to me from the special are Comedy, How the World Works, Bezos 1, Welcome to the Internet, Look Who's Inside Again, Problematic, 30, That Funny Feeling, All Eyes on Me, and Goodbye. Now, I know I basically just named basically all the songs from the set list, but I want to highlight these as they have a very special and specific meaning in regards to the special as a whole and to what I feel like the general opinions were after many people viewed the special. Now, I know some people are probably going to be like, Bo doesn't like it when you overanalyze his work. All of this is a bunch of dick jokes, blah blah blah. you know what? Let me exercise the little community college education I got, okay? Anyways, I will start with comedy. Comedy is a good glimpse into what we're gonna get into and see, and it really sets the tone for the entire special. Bo starts off by jokingly but not jokingly addressing the crisis we've all been lucky enough to live through. Climate change with a mixture of a global pandemic that nobody seems to give a fuck about. He then asks the age-old question, what the fuck is going on? And to that I say, I don't know, Bo. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Which again seems to be a running theme throughout this special. And that theme is being wanting to shake every single political official's stupid fat head until they realize that they have to get their shit together before they watch the world burn to smithereens. But I digress. Next we have how the world works. I love this one because it perfectly sums up how I feel about our current political situation that we have going on. And I don't want to get political, but I will say this. I feel as if Bo created this song in the style of a children's show to mock our political leaders. It seems to be an indirect to them because it's simple to understand that the reason our world is in the shitter right now is because we don't need another dying white guy to rule our country and pretend like they can understand what the common folk is going through. And to move on from that little political rampage, I will leave you with this note. Either get with it or get out of the fucking way. Yeah, I don't know if that was cringy or not, but let's move on. By the way, this is editing Alicia right now, and it was much cooler when Bo did that, so apologies. Now I will be going on to Bezos one, and I understand it's a silly little song, but I'm going to be taking my daily dose of overanalyzing. And I think the song is a fun jab at the overproduction and consumerism modern day America feeds off of. Because, you know, capitalism, baby! And Bezos is basically a blood-hungry demon that sucks billions out of impoverished communities daily. And yeah, you could say I'm a bit jealous that I don't have more money than I need or that anybody in the world could possibly need. But I'm lucky to have $20 in my account, and currently I have about $40 in my bank account, so I guess you could say I'm more than okay. Moving on, we're gonna talk about Welcome to the Internet. This is the, sorry to be cringe here for a second, but this is the big boy that I have been wanting to talk about. Now, I want to keep each description brief, and Welcome to the Internet is definitely a beefy bitch. So I will say this. It's very accurate as someone who grew up alongside the internet when it was kind of starting to become normalized, but still very new, and there wasn't really a limit as to what could be on the internet. Like, I had access to the internet at a very young age, like around 6 or 7. Like I've seen some fucked up shit on the internet, and it's definitely traumatized me, and it definitely didn't help my generation's constant crave for literally everything, and it didn't help with having access to anything and everything all the time. Look Who's Inside Again is a very special one to me. It has a lot of personal meanings, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And as someone who was stuck in a room prior to COVID because of unfortunate circumstances due to my health, and then literally like a year before COVID, 2019, this was when I finally felt like I was starting to live my life and, you know, actually being able to leave my house. But then, of course, 2020 decided to take a fat ass dump on everybody's plans. So, yes, I was that kid who was stuck inside their room. Problematic is a fun song about cancel culture in today's media. And Bo rekindles the flame that many had for him during his early career as a performer, being that his early career had a lot of sensitive, problematic material. I will admit that. And one example of this would be his song Nerds from his special What. The song is riddled with F-bombs, not the F word, but you know, F-bombs and fat jokes. But you know, it is satire, and Bo has said in multiple interviews that he didn't really mean to offend anybody. It's more like a commentary on what jokes were normalized back then and how they were basically normal to just throw around the F-bomb and how it was common, and he basically highlights the absurdity of using that language on a day-to-day basis. But maybe I am reading too much into it, and I definitely have no right to tell you what's offensive and what's not. But I know Bo didn't mean it with any malice, and I know he didn't really mean to hate crime anyone. 30 is a good example of what it's like to have a birthday in the midst of a pandemic. Most of us were unable to spend our birthdays with a large group of our friends and family, and we were stuck within the threshold of our own mind, which led to us furthering our existential dread that started when we first went into lockdown. At least that's what it did for me. And I could tell it did that for Bo as well. I feel as if our lockdown birthdays made us reminisce on our younger selves and what the world has led us to become into our adulthood. It left me thinking, would 10-year-old me be happy with 20-year-old me has accomplished? Well, 30-year-old me be happy with what 20-year-old me has accomplished? And so the cycle continues. I spiral into a state of screaming. I'm eternally screaming. But I hope that I make it to 30 so that I could sing this ballad and actually mean it. Now, I understand that funny feeling has a very special place in all of our hearts. I could say confidently that it left us all with a funny feeling, and it made us hyper aware of those feelings. So thanks, Bo. Thanks for that. But seriously, I feel like the song was a bit reminiscent of Ironic by Alanis Morissette, and I don't know if he was trying to do that or not, or if he doesn't like that comparison, but in my opinion, that's not a bad thing. I think that's a really good thing, actually, because Alanis has a way with words and she knows how to describe a good story. And I make this cross between the two songs because they both point out things that seem like inappropriate jokes at just the wrong time. That funny feeling basically highlights the hilarious, idiotic social climate we currently live in. My favorite funny feeling is that unapparent summer air in early fall. So now that I've shared my intimate detail from my life, I would like to know what your favorite funny feeling is. Now, this next one is literally just my interpretation, so don't come for me. It's just a little theory that I have created in my mind. I feel as if All Eyes on Me is what it feels like to have anxiety, like the setup to an anxiety attack. And if you have had one, you're very aware of your body's instincts and what it's trying to tell you, like, hey, feel like I'm dying. It starts off with a sudden realization that something isn't right. And the line, it's almost over, it's just begun, makes me think whenever I've had an anxiety attack before, "Oh, how long have I been feeling like this?" And you look at the clock and you're like, oh, it's only been 2 minutes. That's fantastic. In my mind, in the song, that's the climax of the panic attack is highlighted by the line, you know.
Get up. I'm talking to you. Get the fuck up!
And of course, we can't forget about the monologue in the midst of the madness as he explains sort of why he wasn't there for some odd years because of health reasons. Lastly, we have Goodbye. It perfectly ties up the entire special and it makes the audience reflect almost as if we were there alongside Bo writing the special. The line, "Do I really have to finish?" is the same question that I had to myself when I watched the special for the first time. It almost felt like post-concert depression. I know that's such a foreign term to us now in the age of COVID, but remember when you would go to a show and after leaving, you had anticipated this event so much for so long, weeks, months, sometimes even a year before the show, and then after, you kind of feel a little bit empty inside. And I feel like that is such a great way as to describe how Inside made me feel the first time I had seen it. And I feel like I wasn't gonna watch something that incredible again for a very long time. And I feel like a lot of you can also agree with that statement. Also, another line that made me feel very mixed emotions of sadness and fondness was the line, How about I sit on the couch and I watch you next time? I don't know why it left like such a strong hold on me. That line feels very personal, so it's one of my favorites. Also, goodbye tends to break the fourth wall like a couple of times throughout the song, but a line that really struck me was, "Oh shit, you're really joking at a time like this," because I was like, damn, bitch, you're breaking the fourth wall and you're looking right into my eyes. You're reaching into the darkest depths of my soul. I don't know why it hit me so hard, but I was like, yeah, bitch. I am really joking at a time like this. And I just like how that line ties in with literally the entire show, and that entire song is just like a synopsis of the entire show, I would say. It was like an awesome way to end the special. So, tip of the non-existent beanie to you, Mr. Burnham. And since the special has come out, I have been browsing the Bow subreddit, and I decided to ask the age-old question, how did Inside initially make you feel? And I received many heartfelt comments about how the special made many people feel, and here were some of my favorites. This one comes from Head to Toe. Inside was the first thing I ever saw of Bow's. I remember laughing really hard, especially at White Woman's Instagram, sexting, shit, the brand consultant bit, the shut the fuck up bit, and Bezos too. I remember thinking, this dude is brilliant. Welcome to the internet blew my mind. That funny feeling hit me like a ton of bricks. All Eyes on Me hit me like a Mack truck. I remember being stunned when the credits started rolling. Had to pick my jaw off from the floor. Yeah, you basically summed it up perfectly. I had the same exact reaction. Content Liker says, honestly, first watch, delighted. Like I was leaning toward the TV drinking it all in. I have a really bleak sense of humor, so it all landed as bitterly, very darkly funny the first go around. But then I couldn't stop thinking about it. It just wedged in my brain. My own reaction was so weird and layered, I'm writing an essay about it. Honestly, when you're done with that essay, please message me on Reddit and send it to me because I'm a whore for essays, so I will be very interested in reading that. The one guy 24691 says, I was honestly kind of down for a while after watching it. My anxiety and exhaustion went through it while watching it. I didn't watch it in a good mental state, and that hurt me a bit. Watching it in a better mental state made me realize my true interpretation of it. I could see why it would make your mental state worse, because it definitely does send you down a rabbit hole of existential dread. So yeah, I would recommend watching it when you need to. Personally, I watch it whenever I need to. You know, like if I feel like I need a friend. This sounds so sad. This sounds so sad, but I promise it's not as sad as it sounds. I watch it whenever I'm alone, like in my room, like it's late at night, and I feel like I just want a friend. So I just put on Inside, and it like helps me, you know, not feel as alone. I'm sorry. That sounds really sad, but that's just the truth. Ashko says, well, I felt like shit. Simple, yet meaningful. Bezo50 says, I felt everything from happiness to total sadness. The special was a perfect blend of every emotion that I'm sure everyone could relate to at some point during the insane year that was 2020. Bo was one hell of an artist. This definitely felt like his masterpiece. Couldn't agree with you more. One Working Limb says, validation, despair, and the void in the best possible way. I felt seen and understood. I'm right there with you, One Working Limb. I felt the exact same way. This last one comes from Bluebell218. It's one of those things I never saw coming, and I'll never forget exactly how I felt when I first saw it. I had never seen Bo before, and I was utterly delighted and captivated by this weird, tall man and his hilarious, depressing, dark, profound antics. Sometimes I couldn't tell where the comedy stopped and the serious shit started, which was trippy. I remember feeling such a gut punch when he went into his speech during All Eyes on Me. I was blown away by Goodbye and the whole ending sequence. For some reason, this one is a specific moment that will always stand out to me on that first watch. It's the one time I teared up in the whole special. To be fair, I was on my second glass of wine. The bridge in White Woman's Instagram where she talks about her mom, it was such a hard left turn, and I remember thinking, this guy just made me feel some actual deep shit about the very person he's mocking in his comedy, and it happened in the span of 10 seconds. What the fuck? It was so empathic to the point of being almost bizarre. That's hard to pull off. Also, something I've seen a lot of others say, I just felt very known and seen. I felt like he reached into my own brain and tinkered around a bit and made a special out of it. And Bluebell 218, I couldn't agree with you more. Well said, well said. There were many other really impactful reactions from other people, so I'm just gonna put them all here on the screen for you to read. And I read a little chunk of the responses that I got on Reddit. I got about a little over 30, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's actually a lot when you think of it as most of those posts, if not 95% of those posts, were long, in-depth, heartfelt comments about their reaction to Inside, and I was very pleased and honestly floored to read all of those comments that were so genuine, and I appreciate them so. So we've all been through a lot together, and I thank you all for getting through this very lengthy deep dive into Bo Burnham's life and career successes. I hope to make more deep dive videos like this in the future, and I hope you are all just excited as I am for more content like this. I just really enjoyed making this video. It was super fun doing the research and learning a bunch of new things that I honestly hadn't known about Bo until making this video, and I also really enjoyed the input that I got from you guys on Reddit. So fun. I loved all of y'all's little comments that y'all left. Again, they were very, very heartfelt, and I'm sure y'all put a lot of time and effort into them. I'm sorry that I didn't put all of them in the video, but I tried to fit as much as I possibly could. And yeah, I hope to make more content like this in the future, and thank you for sticking around to the end. That's it. So long. Goodbye.